Hey guys, so I want to talk about a Python script that I've been working on, and it deals with getting into Matterport and running out a export. So I'm sure plenty of people that are kind of in the BIM realm of things are familiar with working with a number of different tools and different platforms and stuff like that. Matterport being one of them. Scanning a site and then having to upload models and stuff. Um, and then going out to different sites or different FTP sites, whatever the case is, working with all these different environments. Well, with Python, what's really cool, um, you can actually automate some of those interactions. For example, this one's going to be with Matterport, and what I've done is I've gone to their site, kind of um, browsed their site to the statistics location, and then what I do is I'll click on a specific button, and then I'll click on the export button, and then I'll get a email with that export, and that's kind of their workflow, at least with their website. It sends you an email with the statistics. It essentially, is just the file, and the long term idea, is to actually go into Matterport, do or the Matterport website, and do all that, and then actually open up Gmail or whatever it is, and actually run through that, and then pull that file down, and then push it somewhere. So I want to show you the Matterport portion of it. It's already been set up, and it's actually a lot easier than what it sounds, and it doesn't take a lot of lines of code. Again, this is speaking from a perspective of not really being a coder or developer of anything, so I'm sure I'm missing quite a bit, especially if if somebody's watching this from that type of background. So bear with me if that is the case. But uh, so far, it's been pretty helpful, and I've been leveraging the Jupyter Notebooks interface or application, whatever it is. And I actually got that from the Anaconda distribution. And for me, that works really well because you go there, you download it, and I'm sure there's updates and all this other stuff that goes with it. But it essentially gives you a whole package of, of items, pretty much, or different software and stuff. So it gives you the Python, and then it gives you all these packages that are kind of they're not natively with Python, but a lot of people use them. I think from the BIM side of things, it's kind of like the Dynamo and packages and stuff. So it's the same concept almost, at least from how I've been using it. I import a specific package that has all these different tools that you can leverage within the Python environment, and there's specific or different ones for specific things. The one that I'm leveraging kind of deals with interacting with websites. There's ones for actually scraping websites. There's ones for visualization. So there's a lot of different things. So if you want to check that out, go to Anaconda distribution.com or something like that. Just Google it. You can bring it down, and when you download it, all you have to do is actually go in your command prompt. It's not your native one. It's actually, if you come down into your start menu, Anaconda prompt, you'll get that when you download it, and you just type in Jupyter Notebook, and then you just press enter and run it. I've already got it open. What it's going to do is just open it again. I don't want to do that. So if you type that in, enter, opens up Jupyter Notebook. This is kind of the destination that's going to be opened in. Not this one specifically, but you'll open it, kind of browse out to your scripts that you want to open, or notebooks, whatever you want to call them. Or you can kind of start a new one. So I've got Python 3. I think there's an option for Python 2 as well. Here you can kind of start a new Python script. So to kind of get to it, the Matterport portion of it. So I have a whole bunch of links, pretty much for all the information specific to this, and even more specific to this code, pretty much. And I've got some miscellaneous code that I was like, oh, maybe this is something I want to go back to or leverage at some point and I don't want to forget it. I kind of posted up here. And this actually isn't like code. This is Markdown, which is different. You can actually come up here and change it to different stuff. This is Markdown. It just reads different things. If we actually double click it, you'll see. So we'll get out of that. That'll give you essentially all the links. And my idea is that I'll hopefully share this with you at some point. So just keep looking for that. I think I'll just go ahead and actually add it into the comments. So just check it out there. And we'll just run that so that it gets out of that. So here is the actual package I'm using. I've imported some stuff here. I think the only thing I'm actually using from that package is this here. But I always just end up importing a bunch of stuff I don't really need sometimes. Like for example, the time variable, that's actually not needed because this package has its own. So down here we have the Matterport data export portion of it. And with markup, what I've done is I've actually kind of, in the overall script, I'll put something like this, something to kind of give it like a title almost, and then in there I'll have like little text. So I'll put that and then the text associated with that line of code to kind of give more context to what I'm doing, and so that I can go back to it and easily understand it. So so first it's going to be using Chrome to access web. You will have to have the driver, a webdriver.chrome, and you can actually get that from here. So general resources, Chrome driver. You can also just Google it and it'll pop up, and you'll just download it and then put it in the directory that you're running these scripts from. And then what we'll do is we'll actually get the site. So driver.get, we'll get the site. And then what we'll do is look at the element, so username and password. This is kind of different. So the name and ID, you'll get that stuff from the actual HTML code. So you actually have to, Matterport and then identify what these items are. So for example, this is the ID box for when we're logging into Matterport. So what we'll do is we'll go in there, get into that interface, and then you can actually right click on whatever it is and inspect it. If I right click here, we can also get that option. You can Control Shift I as well. If you right click it, it'll open the HTML window, and then generally what I have to do is actually right click it twice, and then it'll drill down into that specific item, and you can look for the name or the ID specific to that item, and then you essentially call that. And then when you call it, you can then select that item. So we've selected it here, and then we're passing in, we've selected it here, and then we're passing in the key values that we want. So this is the username, so I'm going to put my username in there. Password, I'm going to put the password, and that's pushing the key values in there. The button, so this is the login button. So here we would actually look for the ID element, sign in, and then click. So we'll just do login _ button. So that's this here, which equals the actual button ID, and we'll just do .click, and it actually clicks on the button. Another thing is the actual XPath. So if you right click on pretty much any HTML code, you can get the option to copy the XPath, and from there you can actually paste it in here. So you'll just say driver.find _ element _ by _ XPath, and then you can paste the path in here. You say it's equal to whatever. So in the Matterport dialog box, there's actually export data from 7 days, 30 days, and then lifetime. So you essentially see that here, export _ data 7, 30, or LT. And then down here, I'll call the actual button. So I'll run all these, and then whatever here is actually what I'm clicking on. So it'll click that button, and then I'm finishing it right here with the export data. So here's the path, and then click. The reason why I had to do XPath is because there wasn't any IDs or names associated with that element, and I haven't figured out a different way to do it. It's kind of dangerous using XPath because that may change depending on kind of what's going on, um, and it's not as reliable as some of the other options. But after you set it up and kind of verify that it at least works, you can always go back and update that stuff. So that's my idea, is to go back and kind of figure out a more efficient way to do this. But for now, what I can do is run this code and actually get it to work. So the thing is about Jupyter Notebooks is it doesn't necessarily work the best when it comes to it's really good for visualization and explaining code, but it's more difficult for like kind of compiling it down into an executable. And so I find that actually in the Anaconda distribution, you get the Spider IDE. So in Spider, I've taken essentially all this code and I pushed it in there, and I'll show you that dialog box. So I've pushed it in here, and the only thing I found that I had to update was the driver dot implicitly wait 10 seconds. And I think the reason why I had to do that was because running these individually, because you actually have to do, click in it and then shift enter, and then you kind of go through each one. You can compile it down into one set of one block, but this instance I had it, in kind of separate. So I think it gave me some time between the time I clicked this to here, because it was freezing up when it was looking for these paths. Because I think technically while it was going through and going, working through all these different lines, it was getting to this point, and this technically didn't exist at the point that it was trying to look for it. So that's the only thing I had to do differently in this code, was just add a wait time for it. It waits, and it actually, eventually finds that path, and then it'll run that export. And I'll go ahead and do that, not through this dialog box, but actually through just a Py script. And what we'll do is we'll just double click it, and we can see it runs, it puts in my information, and then it's already done. So it selects the lifetime, and then it exports the data. And then we can see a download link is going to be sent to my Gmail. So it looks like it's a little bit, it's kind of hard, but it's really not. It's not like it's a ton of lines of code. I mean, you're essentially kind of just going into a website and going through, naturally each step that you would go through to kind of complete a task. Even if it's uploading something, downloading something, if you go through each step, you should be able to get the HTML code out, and then just code it out. Just build the code in Python once, and then you're good to go to automate that process constantly. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It seems to be super helpful. I'll share this script. I think it's already good to go to share. I'll remove some of the miscellaneous crap out of it, and then it should work for you. If it doesn't, just comment below, and I'll share this as well, the actual packaged documentation. If we actually check this out, this has a ton of information on it, different interactions with websites and the way that they work. You may get pop-ups or just weird things happening when you're working with a website. And this kind of talks you through a lot of different variables, or different ways you would use different things. For example, here we've got locating elements. So like I was speaking about before, ID, name, XPath. You also have hyperlinks, elements by tag name, class name. So there's a variety of options that you have. We have weights. So this is actually where I went to figure out how to make it weight. And then we have page objects. So check it out. I think from a BIM coordination perspective, we work with this stuff constantly, and it seems to be pretty easy to use, so I recommend checking it out. And I think that's it. Thanks a lot for watching.